Hello everyone, I'm Naval Yemul. Welcome to my YouTube channel, The Data Master. So in this video, I'm going to cover Databricks Certified Data Engineering Associate Preparation Part 2. So I have completed Part 1 in my previous video. So I'll just give you the link of that previous video also. You can see this is on my first part that is on based on the Lakehouse platform, and the second video I am covering on the ETL or ELT with the Spark SQL or with Python. So let me show you the curriculum here. So this is the learning path. So Databricks Lakehouse platform I have covered. Now in this video I am going to cover ELT with Spark SQL and Python. So other three parts I'll be covering with part 3, part 4 and part 5. So without wasting much time, let us start with ELT with Spark SQL and Python. So before we begin, I strongly recommend you to just look at the certification link here. So I'll be providing you the certification link also, where you can just go and check. So we are covering ELT with Apache Spark SQL and Python, and they have a beautiful question series here, practice exam questions. So I request you to please go through these exam questions also. So let us begin with the first question. So first question says that a data analyst has created a delta table sales that is used by an entire data analysis team. They want help from the data engineering team to implement a series of tests to ensure that data is clean. So a data analyst has created a delta table and they want the help from the data engineering team. So data engineering team, maybe he might use Python or SQL. So you can see here, however, the data engineering team uses Python for its test rather than SQL. So he prefer using Python, I mean prefer using PySpark. So which of the following command could data engineer would use to access the sales in the PySpark? So this is purely a SQL syntax. So this is not correct. So when it comes to the question here, the confusion starts with these three options, like whether it is Spark dot, because when you are writing it in PySpark, the syntax starts with Spark dot. So whether it is Spark dot delta dot table, so we are not explicitly specifying as a format called delta. So this option is also not possible. Then the confusion is from these two. Uh, Let us go with the fifth option. There is no way to share the data between PySpark and SQL. No, this is not an option. Yes, we can do mix and match between PySpark and SQL both. So when it comes to whether to use a Spark dot table name or Spark dot SQL table name. So let me show you the hands-on what I have performed. So I already have a table here, delta table. Let me show you here. So my table name is autoloader and my database name is Naval, and my metastore name or a catalog name is Hive Metastore. So I'm using a 3-level namespace. We will talk about that. So the syntax is spark.table. So with this, you can say that the option is spark.table and the table name is your correct answer. So your answer is C. So always remember it is spark.table. If you have a delta table, while switching it from your SQL to Python or PySpark, we use spark.table name. Let us move to the second question. So which of the following command will return the location of the database? So they already have a database and the database name is customer 360 is the database name. So how will you find the location? So let me show you the syntax what I have already executed here. So my database name is Naval. You can see describe database name. So you get all the details, mainly the location of the database. So it is a, you can call a managed database where the location is user hive warehouse and the database name. So similarly, when you run describe database name will give you the location of the database. The name of the database is customer 360. So syntax is describe database and the database name. Let us move forward to the next question. Yeah. So a data engineer wants to create a new table. So whenever like you are creating a table, there is an option by using a data frame style. You can use data frame style to create a table. or you can use a SQL syntax to like create a empty table. But if you already have a data, and from there if you want to create a table, I mean a delta table, by using this SQL syntax. So the syntax is CTAS. So with this CTAS you can create a table. CTAS refers to create table as select. So here we write a select query. So we write a select query here. So here also you can see create table as select. So this is how the table is created, and whatever SQL query you are writing here, for example, if you're writing select star from table name, the entire whatever the results are there inside the table name, a new table will be created. Or if you want to create a table with a specific requirement, a specific condition, where the country equal to France, and selecting only few columns, so a new table will be created with the 3 columns, and the in that 3 columns all the like customers are with the location France. So okay, this is the syntax and everything is correct here. They have a blank space here, so we need to fill this. A senior data engineer mentions that it is organization policy to include a table properties. So they want to include some table property indicating that a new table includes PII. It means, okay, the table includes the personal identifiable information. Which of the lines of code fills in the above blank to successfully complete the task? So they are clearly saying that, okay, inside this CETA statements, you can add some properties. So in this, you can add a property called a comment. So you can use a comment here. But so when you say comment, so there are only two options here. It is B and C. So again, there will be a confusion in exam whether you need to write a comment in a string or write a comment as a keyword and the comment name in a string. So let me show you. So this is the link what I wanted to show you. So again, this I have pulled this from a Databricks Data Engineering Academy. So where it clearly shows that create table, you can write create, replace anything, create table, table name, and you can give some table properties, like you can specify the location. You can just like for optimization and for fast query you can use partition by. These two are optional. Comment is an optional. Okay, so CTAS create table as select. In that, if you want to use some table properties, like you can use comment. So in this statement, it is saying that they want a comment. Okay, comment. So comment is a keyword and then it contains PII. You can see it is same. So the syntax, by looking at this syntax here, you can clearly says that the answer is E in this case. So answer is E. So let us move forward. Which of the following benefits is provided by an array function from a Spark SQL? So array function, so you have an elements in one specific column. So that is an ability to work with the complex and nested JSONs. So whenever you are dealing with the JSON files, like suppose you have key value pair, inside that key value pair for one of the column, again you will have some more elements inside that. So you can see this is a list of the elements and you call this as an arrays. So this can, like, while creating a table by using a Spark SQL, so array functions are used when you have a complex data. So the answer is D here, the ability to work with complex and nested data ingested from the JSON files. So we use an array functions when you are ingesting a data by a nested JSONs. So let us move forward now. Which of the following command can be used to write the data into the delta table? So please look at the question, guys. Here it may confuse you a lot. So they want a command that can be used to write the data into the delta table. So what are the different commands? You can use maybe insert, you can use create, and there are many. But what they are specifically looking at, while avoiding the writing of duplicate records, so they don't want the duplicate records, they are avoiding the duplicate records. So you can see the various ways are there. Drop, I don't think so drop will work, because drop will entirely drop your data and metadata both. I don't think so. Ignore is an option. So leave about ignore. Now looking at these three options, so you can use either insert or update or merge or append to like write data into the delta table. But here they don't want duplicates, so you got only an option called merge. So with this merge, your data will be getting written to a delta table, but you don't see the duplicates when you are using merge. So the answer is merge. Merge. Let us move to the next question. So here the question is on the user defined function, also called as an UDF. So a data engineer needs to apply the custom logic to a string column. So here the word string is important keyword. Column city in the table stores for a specific use cases. In order to apply this custom logic at scale, the data engineer wants to create a SQL UDF. Which of the following code block creates a SQL UDF? So before, okay, let me show you the options here. So all the options looks similar. So they are saying that create function name. Here also you got create UDF name. So actually when you look at the syntax, it never starts with UDF, it never says UDF. Okay, so in these options all like B C D options saying that create UDF, but in real time exam you might have create function name, and that might confuse a lot. So let me show you one syntax that you can relate it for the SQL UDFs. Very important. You can see again I have pulled this documentation or this DBC file from the Databricks Academy on Databricks data engineering. So if you want, I'll just drop a link URL on this Databricks data engineering also, and let me show you. Okay, so you can see Databricks, data engineering with Databricks, and these are all the topics. So now I'm covering ETL with Spark SQL and Python with Spark. So I have already covered the first one, that is Databricks Delta Lake or the Lakehouse fundamentals. I strongly recommend you to watch my first video. So if you want the link of this, I'll be giving you in the description. You can download it from there also. So I'll be showing you the syntax for creating an UDF here. Create function. So create or replace, like it is just to replace the UDF. So you focus on create function name. So by looking at the examples or the options here, the only option comes out is create function. But in exam you will not get UDF all times. You get create function name. That will confuse a lot. So try to remember this is the only syntax and it is very simple. So create function name, then give a name for that. I mean the column name. You can see one parameter is text and the what would be the data type for that. So let me relate that here. Create function name, the column name is a city. Here you can see the column is city, and the city is obviously in the string. And here the confusion start. So they might give you return the statement or the expression above and return string below. So the syntax says that returns string. So whatever function you are creating, this function will return in the form of string, and then you return this expression. So you write an expression here. So returns the data type of that function and return the expression. So this is the syntax. So I'm just verifying it. Create function name, the column name, and the data type of that. So I'm going to create an UDF by using this column name, and here I'm going to like whatever the result I'm getting for this function name, that returns it in the form of string, and then return, and this is your expression. So whatever you are writing here, you may write anything here. So here in this case it is just case and when. So when the city is like city is Brooklyn and New York, and then New York, so give New York, else you just return it to city and the end statement. So I'll just write it create function function name and then the column name here, for example column name, and the data type of that maybe string, and here you have returns and return. So you need to remember this when it comes to UDF. So let us proceed further to the next question. So answer is A here in this case. Okay. So a data analyst has a series of queries in the SQL program. The data analyst wants this program to run every day. So they have a series of queries in a SQL program and they want to run it every day. They only want the final query in the program to run on Sundays. So they want the final query only to run on Sunday. They ask for the help for data engineering team to complete this task. Which of the following approach could be used for a data engineering team to complete this task? So you look at the various options here. They would submit a feature request with Databricks to add this functionality. No, we don't do that. Already we have that functionality and we use it. So we wrap up the queries using PySpark and then use the Python's control flow system to determine when to run the final query. So that is the correct option. So we wrap the queries by using a PySpark and then use the Python's control flow. That is the only correct option. You can just look at the other options. So we cannot say that they would run the entire program on Sundays and only accessible on Sundays, and they would redesign the data model. The options are completely irrelevant. So the only option that is coming out is by using a PySpark, wrapping the queries in PySpark and using the Python's control flow. Okay. Moving to the next question. A data engineer runs a statement every day to copy the previous day's sales into the table transactions. So every day they are going to copy the previous day's sales into the table. Okay, so they have a table. Each day's sales are in their own file in the location. So this is their location. Today the data engineer runs the following command to complete this task. So you need to understand how the copy into statement works. So copy into is used to ingest the files or your raw files into the Delta Lake or into the Lakehouse or into the bronze layer. So when you are ingesting the data into the Lakehouse, there are two options. First is autoloader option and the second is autoloader option and the second is copy into. So autoloader works with structure streaming. Maybe we will be covering that in the next part, that is part 3 of this video series. Now copy into works on the structure streaming, and copy into works with only SQL statement. So when you want to ingest it, you can use copy into. This is your table name from. So whatever the files are there inside this path, that will be copied into this table, and the file format, the which is saved in this transaction raw path is your Parquet files. So we are going to copy all the files which are there inside this path in the Parquet format to the transaction table. But after running the command today, the data engineer noticed that the number of records in the table have not changed. So you need to know how the copy into works. Suppose there are two files and you use this copy into. So these two files will be copied into the transaction table. And okay, your copy into statement as executed. Suppose if you run it again, you won't change the data again. It will not load it again. So it is uh, exactly reading it only once. It is guaranteed that your files are read only once, guaranteed once. They are idempotent. So once the file is read, it will not read it again. Suppose the third file comes and then once you run this query again, then only the third file will get appended to this transaction table. Unless and until you get a new file, you won't get the records. Now if you're running this 10 times also, it will not execute because it is guaranteed only once. So now by looking at this, you look at the syntax. It is saying that the format of the file to be copied were not included. So this is not a correct option. Parquet file format does not support the copy into is not a correct option. It supports copy into supports Parquet, CSV, JSON and other formats also. The name of the file to be copied were not included. So with the files keyword, no, we don't need a name also. The previous day's file have been already copied into the table. So that is the correct answer. So C is the correct answer. The previous day files have already been copied into the table. So that's why when you are running it again, you won't able to see the change. Moving forward to the next question. So again, this is an important question. So data engineer needs to create a table in the Databricks using data from their organization existing SQLite database. So they run a command. So whenever they are going to create a table, so create table name using, and they are using an options. So only one option pops up here, that is your org.apache.spark.sql.jdbc. So you are connecting to any SQL databases, any SQL database. So you have to use this like org.apache.spark.sql database. So let me show you the proof here. So whenever you are connecting it to the database, whenever you are establishing the database, you need to give an option called jdbc here, jdbc in SQL syntax. So the answer that will come out of this is, your answer is A in this case, that is Apache Spark SQL.jdbc. Moving forward to the next question. So data engineering team has two tables. Yeah, very simple and very interesting. They have two tables. The first table, March transaction. So they have a March transaction table, is a collection of all the retail transactions in the month of March. The second table is the April transaction. They have an April transaction here, and all the retail transactions in the month of April. There are no duplicate records. There are no duplicate records between the table. So which of the following command should run to create a new table, all transactions? So they want to add these two and they want to create only one table. This should contain both the records from March and the April. So if you are coming from a SQL background, you would easily understand that you want to append the rows. We are talking about the rows, adding the rows, appending the rows. So the one and only one option coming out of this is union. By using union, you can add these two records into one. So join will not come, and outer join will not come, intersect will not come, merge will not come. So there is only one option called union, and the syntax is also very simple. So create table name, that's it. CTAS statement again, CTAS, create table name as select query. So here select from the March table, union select from the April table. So let me show you one proof here. Yeah, you can see here again, this is the same DBC files that I have pulled out from the Databricks data engineering. So there are three set operators here: union, minus, and intersect. So union, that will return the collection of the two queries, that is select star from table 1, union select star from table 2. Intersect returns all rows found in both the relations. So from both the tables it will return you the rows that are found in common. And minus, you can see minus also. So the above query returns no results because R2, okay, let me read it here, returns all the rows found in one data set but not the other. So this is about the minus operator. You can see these three, but when it comes to this question, it is union, as they want all the records from both the table. Moving forward to the next question. Okay. Data engineering team has a delta table called employees and contains the employees' personal information, including their gross salary. Which of the following code block will return in the table only the employees having a salary greater than 3,000? So they want the salaries of the employees which are greater than 3,000. Very simple SQL syntax. So the answer is, so the answer is E, that is delete from the employees where the salary is less than equal to 3,000. So when you say delete all the employees where salary equal to less than equal to 3,000, so whatever the output you get, whatever the result set you get, in this you will get all the employees whose salary is greater than 3,000. So you can see here, and we wanted the same answer. I want all the employees whose salary is greater than 3,000. Very simple SQL syntax. Moving forward to the next question. A data engineer wants to create a relational object by pulling the data from two tables. Okay, they want to create an relational object by pulling two tables. The relational object must be used by other data engineers. So this is important. Must be used by other data engineer in other sessions on the same cluster. So whenever you're talking about objects, so there are three types here actually: table, and second is view, and the third is functions. Okay, there are no stored procedures in the Databricks Lakehouse. You cannot create a stored procedures here. When it comes to the table, you have an external table and you have a managed table. We have already cleared that in our first video. You can check out that. So when it comes to the view, again there are three types of views. One is a standard view, and second is your temporary view, and the third is your global view. So standard view means it is already persisted. You can see that standard view once you terminate the cluster also, that persists inside your database. But again, when it comes to view, it is just a virtual table. There is no storage or the space occupied for that view. Okay, but it is a like it is an object of the database. Then when it comes to the other types of views, there are global view and the temporary view. So as the name itself indicates, both are temporary. So what is the difference between temporary view and the global view? So once you create a temporary view, that will be valid up to only that particular session. Even global view also is valid up to that particular session. Means once you terminate the cluster, you won't able to see these views again. But what is the difference between these two? So when you are creating a temporary view, you have to use that in the same notebook, I mean in the same Spark session. Suppose if some other colleague, or maybe if you are referring that view in other notebook, you won't able to do that in the temporary view. But when it comes to the global view, yes, you can refer that view, as it is the name itself suggests that it is a global. So in this question also they are saying that they must be used by other data engineers in other sessions on the same cluster in order to save the storage cost. So when it comes to saving the storage cost, you have to convert it to the view. The data engineer wants to avoid copying and storing the physical data, so there's only one option, that is called as a global temporary view. So table, there is no answer for this because table will have the storage. When it comes to view, then temporary view is only valid up to that particular session. The only answer comes out is global temporary view. Moving forward to the next question. So data engineer has developed a code block to completely reprocess data based on the following condition in Python. So if processing mode is init and not is table exists, print start processing. If this if condition is written an invalid syntax, which of the following changes should you make to the code block to fix this error? So this is a Python syntax, guys. So there are maybe two to three questions you can focus on this, and one question you will definitely find this in exam. So the condition is if the process mode is equal to, so they are saying equal to. So when you are coming from a Python background, you need to know what does the single equal to and the double equal to means. So whenever you are using a double equal to, double equal to sign, it means that it is a comparing, whereas when you are using a single equal to sign, it means that you are assigning the value. We don't want to assign the value, but we want to compare it. So here the syntax, if you look at the syntax, these all options goes off because there is only single equal to, single equal to, single equal to. The only double equal to is here, and the answer is this E. But in the exam you might get double equal to signs also here. Then you have to look at the second syntax. And when you are looking at the Python here, like using a single ampersand instead of a keyword and is not a valid syntax in Python. So we are not using and here, we are directly writing a keyword called a and d in this way. Okay, so these are the two things you need to be very careful when you are looking at the Python syntax here. So in this case the answer is E. Let us move to the next question where you will get a clear understanding on that. So answer is E here. Okay, let me talk about this. Yeah, we have already covered this. So irrespective of any database you are talking, it may be a PostgreSQL or any databases. So create table employees using. So the only answer is org.apache spark.sql jdbc. So you need to use using jdbc and then use an options here. So the answer is A in this case. We have already done it. So moving forward, yeah, so this is what I want to focus. So a data engineer wants to execute the final code block of Python program if the Python variable, so this is the variable day of the week is equal to 1. So as I've told you, whenever you want to specify in Python, equal to 1 means you need to give a double equal to. So only two options comes out of these options are C and D because there is double equal to. Okay. And the Python variable review period is true. So they are saying that review period is true. So again you will be confused whether the answer is C or D. Okay, so the use of this quote around the true in option C and B both will result in a string comparison, result in a string comparison which will not evaluate to true even if the value of the review period is true. So we are not writing again true in a form of result. So there is no option for the C. The only answer that is coming out of is D. So this is the correct answer. If you remember in the previous video also, previous slide also, you can see we are not specifying anything in this as a true or false here. So this is how you can figure out by using this Python variable. Okay, so the answer is D in this case. Moving forward to the next question. Yeah. So a data engineer is attempting to drop a table, I mean Spark SQL table, my table. The data engineer wants to delete all the table metadata and data. So if you remember when I said there are two types of tables, one is an external table and one is a managed table. So managed table, when you drop, what is the difference between these two? When you want to create an external table, you have to give a keyword called location and specify the path. But when you are saying the managed table, you don't need to give anything. By default it will store into user hive warehouse. It will store directly in the warehouse, hive warehouse. So that is called as a managed table. But when you drop your managed table, the data and the metadata both gets deleted. So if you are getting confused what is metadata, what is data, I strongly recommend you to watch my video on what is delta lake and what is managed table and external table. You will get a clear understanding. Okay, so here they want to drop both metadata and the data. They run a command. So the command is drop table if exist. While the object no longer appears, so object means the table is not appearing in the database. When they run a show table, the data file still exists. You can see data file still exists. Yes, the when it comes to the delta lake, all your metadata, that is all your data with their logs still exist, because the only reason it is an external table. So when you drop the external table, only the object, that is the data or the table, gets dropped, all your metadata remains there. So the answer will be the table is an external table. So if you are confused, I request you to please watch my video on all about the delta. You'll get a clear understanding. Moving forward, a data engineer wants to create a data entity from a couple of tables. The data entity must be used by other engineers in other sessions. Yeah, this is very important again. So they want to create one of the object. Okay, and they are saying that the other data engineers must be used in other sessions also. So when it comes to other sessions, are they talking about the view or the table? So this is very confusing. View or the table, it can be both. Okay, it must also be saved in a physical location. So they are saying that they must be saved in the physical location. So when they are saying the physical location, did they say anything on the cost, the storage cost? They did not say anything on the storage cost. Then the answer would be table. If they say that no, I want to save up to the save storage cost also, then the answer will change to view. The answer would change to view. And if they say that the data entity must be used by only one engineer in the same session, then it will change to temporary view. So that is a lot of confusion here between view and the table. So looking at the question, they have to save it in the physical location. They did not mention anything on the storage, and they are saying that other data engineers should also use it in other sessions. So the only answer coming out is your table. So this is all about the ETL, Spark SQL, and Python. So if you look at the, let me discard this all. Yeah, so when you look at the question, number of questions are maybe 13 to 14. So I have covered 15, 17 to 18 questions on this. So still, if you have any doubt, any question from the documentation or the practice questions from the Databricks official website. If you have any questions on that, please let me know. I'm happy to cover on that. So now I'll be preparing on the third part, that is incremental data processing, all about the autoloader, how to increment the data streaming part and all those, and production pipeline, that is your delta live tables and your data governance. So I'll cover that in next two parts. So if you like the content, guys, please like the video, share it with your friend, and please do comment so that I will be motivated to create the other parts. So I'm sorry I did not create the second part soon, so I apologize for that. Maybe the second, third part and fourth part, I'll be releasing it very soon. Thank you for the support, guys. If you have any doubt, any question, please do comment. Keep learning. See you in the next part.